Hey guys, it's Dr. Matt Ogle with Highland Chiropractic, and this is our Autism Workshop. Shortened Autism Workshop, I should say. So we're just going to get right to it. Here's why I'm doing what I do. There are staggering statistics, and you've seen these before. There are too many cases of autism, and autism is on the rise. If we were to consider if we were to project, I should say, in the year 2020, where will we be in relation to our numbers now? I am thinking that if we continue on our current path, that by 2020 we would see 1 in every 17 children be diagnosed with autism, and that is just insane. I can't even imagine that, and I don't want to. And I'm here to tell you that it is my goal and my mission to reverse this trend. So, I have a Bachelor of Science in Human Biology. I went to chiropractic school in Cleveland, which is not in Ohio. It's actually in Kansas City. I have continuing education in pediatrics, nutrition, and neurology, specifically neurodevelopmental disorders. And I'm a member of the National Wellness Foundation and also Epic Pediatrics, which share my vision in helping increase awareness and decrease or essentially reverse these issues that we're seeing, especially in our children, because they're our future. So here's my why. When it comes down to really what drives me, these are my two kids, Preston and Oakley. They're really what help me keep going and remind me that other children deserve to have, you know, optimal lives. They deserve to have lives that are filled with happiness, with quality family time, with excitement and joy. And so they're really what helped drive me in sharing this message and helping helping families. So again, statistics, these blow me away. I don't even want to imagine where we're going to be. But starting now, we're reversing that trend. So understanding chiropractic, what the heck does a chiropractor have to do with ADHD, with autism, or OCD, anxiety, digestive problems, sleep issues, migraines? And actually, you may have heard of chiropractors helping with migraines, but all these other issues, what the heck does a chiropractor have to do with all of these things? Well, the old school idea of what chiropractic is, of just snap, crackle, and pop. I'm sure I don't know if you guys recognize snap, crackle, and pop. I remember them from the box of Rice Krispies growing up. Um, but the idea that chiropractic is just snap, crackle, pop, it's I don't know, it's incorrect. The What chiropractic is, and that's where we're going to kind of go, is chiropractic is treating the nervous system. So that's why you see this dude over here with all the green. Those are all the nerves, and every cell in our body is controlled by the nervous system. So if we consider what the nervous system actually does, our nervous system, or our brains, are processing around 11 trillion bits of information per second. And we are consciously aware of 50. Excuse me. So, that being the case, there is a lot of information going into the brain and being processed and analyzed and organized that we don't even have conscious awareness of. So if we consider yourself, and then consider a child that you know that's been diagnosed with a sensory processing disorder, or autism, or PDD-NOS. I mean, any of these sensory, or these neurodevelopmental disorders, the information at any given second, as you guys sit in a room or you're out and about, the information coming in doesn't change. It's no different for you than it is for him or her. But how we interpret that information is different, and how we process that information is different. So understanding chiropractic, the function of the nervous system is to perceive the environment and coordinate the behavior of all other cells. And that's really what it comes down to with these kids is this is a perception and coordination issue. All neurological issues come from kids not properly perceiving their environment. And this is the problem. Their brains, or the central nervous system, don't coordinate and control and organize things well with the rest of the body. The and the behavior, I mean, when we have a perception that's off and a coordination that's off, then of course the behavior is going to be off. I mean, if we have something, and this is what my mom said growing up, garbage in, garbage out. And you may not have heard that before, but if you have garbage in going in your brain, and I think she probably said this because I played too many video games, or I spent too much time watching movies. I don't know. But garbage in, garbage out. So we need to be able to properly perceive our environment and coordinate it well. Now, just an example for perception. Look at this picture. Okay, do you see anything wrong with this picture? I mean, besides the fact that it's upside down, maybe it looks a little bit goofy, but here's the picture flipped 180 degrees. What the heck happened? So I'm gonna go back. So that looks relatively normal, and this is kind of tripping our eyes out a little bit, right? But the fact of the matter is, the picture is the same. It's just flipped upside down. So our perception, our minds perceive what they want to perceive, and if we can think about this in how we are looking at the treatment of kids with autism or these other issues, we have everything right in front of us, or maybe the cause is right in front of us, but we're just seeing it from the wrong angle. So this little webinar is meant to help you see, or this little video I should say, is to help you see that maybe there's something right in front of our faces that can be causing these issues that we can take care of so that our kids can have a higher quality of life. So, subluxation. Subluxation means nervous system interference. In the medical world, it means less than a dislocation. Subluxation in chiropractic is very similar, because we're not talking about subluxations or dislocations necessarily, but we're talking about a small interference. And these small interference to the nervous system are due to physical stress, emotional stress, or chemical stress. Okay, so all of these actually lead to the subluxation. So there are three components that lead to that, and that's really what we get into in our evaluations and exams of each of these stressors and how they play a role in each individual kid's life and how it has affected them in their diagnosis. Now, role in pediatric neurodevelopment. This research is essentially showing that after adjustments, people reported a higher quality of life, and it was mostly because of the relaxation that the adjustments actually provided. And the relaxation is key, and we're going to get to that in helping you see why is the relaxation essential in neurodevelopment. And in this research, we found, so they basically took a group of kids and they took the average ATEC score, which, excuse me, Autism Treatment Evaluation Checklist is what that stands for. And so after chiropractic treatment, there was an improvement of 32%. And of all those children that have been diagnosed with autism, 7% of those children no longer met the criteria to be considered autistic. So, it shows that chiropractic actually has literally reversed some diagnosis in children of autism. Now, how is that possible? How can we say that we can literally reverse autism? Well, this is my favorite slide. I'm kind of a nerd. My wife will tell you that. Starting at the top, follow along with me. Dyskinesia means abnormal movement. So we have a misaligned or fixated joint. Whenever we have a fixated joint, we then have altered input going into the brain. And this input going into the brain is essentially we call it disafferentation. And that bad input going into the brain, remember how I said garbage in, garbage out? If we had if we have bad input going into the brain, then we're going to have bad output going out, okay, or controlling our body. And that control of our body is by the autonomic nervous system. Um, and so here, if we have bad output, we call it dysautonomia. So bad regulation of the automatic parts of the nervous system or of the body, which include the immune system, digestive system, endocrine systems, and what this ends up causing is a stressful response in the body. Now, this isn't stress that we can necessarily feel. This is stress that our bodies perceive. And so this sustained stress response is called dyskinesis, or misdirected physical reactions. And examples of these is maybe you've seen these things like hand flapping or repetitive motions or movements or anger or temperament issues. All of these are errors in energy output and organization. And essentially, that's where we find that there's a brain-body disconnection. And these kids, autistic kids have been called before as disconnected children. And so that's what my goal is, to essentially establish the connection again. It's no different than establishing a connection with the phone line, making sure that things are able to communicate with each other. And so how do we measure dyskinesis? That funky word. How do we measure this? And in our office, we use state-of-the-art equipment, thermography and EMG. And here we're seeing extremely bad dyskinesis and errors in energy. This is the nervous system on this side, and this is the muscular system. Okay, and these kind of work hand in hand. Okay, the nervous system is essentially what's telling the muscular system what to do, and essentially the nervous system is telling everything else what to do. So we see disturbance in the nervous system here, and these readings we're able to I like this in our office because we're able to objectify and objectively test and see what's going on inside with the nervous system. Over here we see the muscular system, and that helps us see what the input, like is the input going into the brain, is it static or is it clean, And so if we have static going into the brain, then we're going to have static coming out, and it's almost like a self-perpetuating cycle. So the four-dimensional model of vertebral subluxation. This research here, or this article here, is just talking about how skin temperature differences are actually associated with specific subluxation levels, and the amount of asymmetry that we see within the child or within the adult is an indicator of dysfunction. And if our nervous system is dysfunctional, then the nerve or the organs that nervous system is controlling, which is all of our organs, then there may be some alteration in the function of that organ. And so, how are we able to improve on this? Well, we know that with chiropractic care, we are essentially treating the nervous system and improving or decreasing those subluxations and allowing the brain to change. And neuroplasticity is a fancy word for saying, hey, guess what? The brain can change. It's possible. So if we change our input, and if we change our input that goes into the brain, then the brain itself actually changes. In this book, if you want to get it on Amazon and want to learn more about that, feel free to do so. But so we change our input, the brain changes, and then the brain output changes. And so we focus in our office we focus on changing the input going into the brain. And where all of this starts, and we get more into depth about where subluxation starts, the physical, chemical, and emotional traumas, and how they each play a role in subluxation. Where it really starts is actually before birth, in utero, but this is why we say that every newborn should receive a neck and spine examination, and a chiropractic adjustment if necessary, is to ensure that we have proper growth and ensure that the body is able to properly function. So understanding chiropractic a little bit more is the health of the spine determines the health of the brain. Think about it like this: for or within the spinal cord, over half of the neurons in the spinal cord are there for the specific function of detecting movement. And if we have some sort of alteration in input, as I've said before, then the spinal cord or the neurons that are reading this information, they're not getting everything that they need. And so then the input is abnormal, so then the output will be abnormal. So continuing on, you can't be in growth and protection at the same time. And this is like saying that if you were to be chased by a tiger, you could not pee, okay? Because the function of peeing is actually a parasympathetic or a relaxation response. And the act of running away from a tiger that's about to bite your face off is an act of protection or fighting or flighting. And so these two systems, we really need to be able to find a balance between these two systems. And that's what we do, is we find the balance, and that's why we use these scans, the thermography and EMG, is to find the balance. Where can we help each child, and how can they be adjusted, and where can they be adjusted? Now, we've had great success with many individuals, and this is Evan's story. I'll just kind of summarize it for the sake of time. He was diagnosed with autism. He's nonverbal, didn't get along with his siblings, just was not happy. And this picture here that you're seeing, that's exactly how he acted. Just very, almost disconnected. And then when he did, quote unquote, connect, it was just like very disruptive and angry. And so his mom actually then was faced with a decision that day after Evan was diagnosed with autism. She took him into the chiropractor, and he was then evaluated, and she was faced with a decision. Okay, well, do I put him on medication, or should I try this this other stuff, chiropractic and some of the other things that we do in the office, and while with our kids, it doesn't always come down to cost. Cost is definitely a factor, and so Adderall and Concerta and Focal and Strattera, all of these medications and the costs of them, depending on which one they'd be prescribed, on average, it comes out to around $1,900 a year. And that's dealing with, like it says on here, is the brain changes. There are potential brain changes with these medications, and not to mention the brain changes, but also the side effects. I mean, the side effects alone are enough to make you want to run away. But you know what? We do what we know is best at the time, and there's no doubt that the drugs actually are effective. It's just, is it effective at addressing the cause? And is there a way that we can address the cause without the harmful effects of the medication and the continued use of medication? On top of this, the tutoring costs or additional prescriptions, and nobody can put a price tag on quality time with family. This is Evan. We already kind of went over this. I didn't mention the no eye contact. But this is Evan's initial scan. And so with this quantitative data, we're able to decide on what the best treatment is going to be, and essentially where are the issues. And many times we find, we're able to find gut issues on here, and we actually mentioned those to parents, and then they, oh yeah, I forgot about. So these are good tests for us to have, and also again for you to have. Now, Evan, just after 2 months, he was a bright, bubbly boy again. It's just a completely changed kid, and going through, like I said, we always re-examine, check our work, and make sure that we're making progress. Now, after 2 months, behaving better, sleeping better, body trained, speaking full sentences, completely different kid. And after 10 months, Evan is right back on track. Now, just to recap, chiropractic, is about treating the nervous system, and what we do is remove the nervous system interference, and specifically with these kids that have been diagnosed with autism, we help them with their not only the input going into their brain, but also give a little bit of guidance and help with dietary changes that can help, and other things that really improve behavior. And this is something that's good for both the kids and for the parents to be able to see. So if you have any questions, feel free to give us a call, or shoot us an email, or even comment below. That would be fine, and we'd be happy to help you out anyway. But if you are watching this and you do have a child that has been diagnosed with autism, please just come in for a consultation. If you're not in the Boise area, then shoot us an email or comment, and I have a network of doctors throughout the world that actually practice very similar to how I do, and I would love to be able to help you guys out, because that's what this is all about. So thanks for watching, and we will see you soon.